Let's just wanna have fun.
Yeah, you see like little frolicking spirits. Just dancing, having orgies.
With the big, and then they got the Norwegian druids just like doing a cult ritual in the background.
Yeah, with some death metal going.
Delicious. Satan, Lucifer.
It's so
big
funny.
elk horns on my head.
It's so funny how you can you can sum up emotions with negative or positive. Like you can go to church and people are like flopping all around, and then you can go to some satanic ritual and people are flopping all around. It's the same.
It's
It's just one's negative oriented and one's positive. Neither are bad.
But you say church, it gives you a mental idea in your head.
Yes.
You say Satan, it gives you another mental idea. Isn't it funny how the mind can jump and like add thoughts together? When you think thunder, what do you think?
Loud noise.
Yeah, and what comes
storms?
with it?
Yeah.
What else comes with it?
Lightning.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
All these like corollary
Thunder
things.
Buddy.
Yeah, Thunder Buddy.
You watch that movie, right?
No.
With the little bear.
No.
Oh, dude, it's the greatest.
Oh.
It's the little inappropriate bear, Ted.
I want to say Ted. Is that what it's
I
called?
think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, hilarious. Filmed up in Boston.
It's like he had a Thunder Buddy.
Yeah, Thunder Buddy. No, my point is that the mind it does that summing up without even really having to do the thinking. It's like the objective observation, whether it be the thunder, the lightning, Satan, or church. What happens is anything that you've learned through other observations in your life, your mind stitches together depending on like the emotion and the feeling that you thought about that associates with it. And when there's a blend of these things, you're like, oh, that's really interesting. When I think table, what do I think?
Chair. Yeah.
Yeah, chair, food, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how it does that?
So when we think Satan, we automatically, with religion and everything, we automatically ingrain like evil.
Well, that's what they
we
want.
should have. We should get it. We should make an HDL shirt with Satan on it. And be
Yeah.
like, why do I got a bad rap or
Yeah.
something?
That's what I mean. And it has
because he's not
hashtag
even,
on the back says true tubal.
Yeah, exactly. He's not even real. So
No, it's great. And that's what I find interesting, and that's what's so powerful when you don't consider your own thoughts, is because all these other subconscious things can happen in your life, these associations that go with it, or if the church tells you something's negative, anything that could reference to it, its color, whatever it might be, then has a cross association in the mind instantaneously for people. It's very hard to get rid of.
Well, I mean, we did 6 episodes on Turtle about symbols and how symbols just instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think I don't know why.
No, I think when we look at thought and we look at action and we look at they said in your lifetime you could have hundreds of billions of thoughts. So the neuroscientist was talking about that.
That's
yeah,
low for me.
Yeah, exactly. You do that in one day. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, pump those numbers out of the rookie numbers.
That's another reference to a great movie. So I want to talk about this false sense of enlightenment, and people are looking, because I even hear this. You hear this all the time, even with super educated people. They're like, well, they're enlightened, or I'm looking for enlightenment, or Buddhism. There's this form of enlightenment, New Age teaching. Yeah, a lot of it is to seek enlightenment. Yeah, and to work towards, to have a progress to.
It's a misnomer. That's like it's like always dangling. That reminds me of. Remember when we were talking about the White Sands incident? Mm-hmm. He said, when you put the hot dog
in front of the dog,
yeah, what's it gonna do? It's always gonna chase it.
Yeah,
that's that whole idea. Mm-hmm. That keeps you in the religion. Oh, do these steps.
Yes.
Head over here. Come over in here and do this. Mm-hmm. Dude, there's only one thing entities, us, seek in our lives. That's evolution. There's enlightenment. I can evolve. And then there's enlightenment, right? Yes. Enlightenment is just like awareness, the ultimate awareness. You can do that today. Why do I have to seek for a long time?
Well, it's like off air you were talking, and you said a very powerful statement. You said you're already enlightened.
Yeah, you are.
There's this filter that
you block it.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, it's like a tree in the shade of the sun. The tree is just there. But it's blocking the shade, and depending on where you're seeing the perspective from, or where you're standing as, whether it's shaded or not.
Yeah, let's add some proof to that pudding. Think about remote viewers. Very well studied.
Right.
scientifically researched. Well, it was very well funded in the 70s. They have access to all the knowledge in the world.
Right.
What else do you need? All you got to do is do that all day long. If you just want your knowledge, go ahead. You can be completely enlightened. You have full access to anything you want to see in any time or space.
Are the Tibetan monks that get into that meditative state where it's 6 hours and they don't know?
Yeah, you don't.
Why not just hang out in a cave for the rest of your life?
Yeah, don't chase anything. I mean, if you'll find the enlightenment, the information flows through. If you want to access the Akashic records, whatever this essentially this energetic library of information that's never lost, what more knowledge do you need? The point is not knowledge. The point is just evolution within itself. And if you want to find enlightenment, get all the shit out of the way. Go practice remote viewing. Go feel the answers. Go meditate. It's right there for you. It doesn't. I don't even think it's because this is what I want to get into. Tell me.
Because I wrote this down. Enlightenment is just a realization of the truth.
This is my point.
I think it's very simple.
Akashic
it's
records?
Way more simple than we making it.
They don't lie to you. It's full-time truth.
Right.
Remote viewing, it doesn't need to lie to you. It's full-time truth. It just shows you exactly what it is. In meditation, you sit down, you deal with yourself. It shows you the truth all the time. That's what enlightenment is living within that truth.
Right.
Is being a part of truth all the time. Realizing the power of truth is enlightenment. Not having all the truth. You can't have it all. Your brain can't maximize that capacity. But realizing the value of truth and living in truth is the enlightenment.
Yeah, it's so funny. People say you only use 10% of your brain. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
I don't think
Scientists
so.
say that.
I don't do more than that.
But it's funny. If we're only using, reverse engineer this and do scientific analysis. Let's be logical about this.
Okay.
If all of humans are only using 10% of their brain, then everything that we perceive is false.
Does that
mean 90% is not being used? So we're basing all of reality off of 10%.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or that means really our effectiveness.
Are we really fucked up?
We have 7.5 billion people, and 750 million are really the only ones using the brains.
Now I understand why we're fucking up the planet.
Yeah, this all makes sense. When it's at 10%, it makes sense.
We fuck ourselves up.
Yeah.
We fuck others up. And we fuck the planet up.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah.
We enjoy fucking ourselves up.
Yes.
We enjoy boxing each other. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like Muay Thai kickboxing,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. We like beating each other up. Countries go to war. Like, I don't understand. We like to berate each other. What is with human beings? What is that? I don't get it.
I think it's the evolutionary. It's just ingrained in us from the beginning of time. We've had wrestling competitions. The American Indians had wrestling competitions.
Dude, Indian leg wrestling is the best.
Yeah, I mean, that's leg locks and everything else. Yeah. So when we get into the subconscious and the conscious, and we get into this form of enlightenment, I want to... Peter Crone was on a podcast on modern wisdom. So he talked about this, and I'm using some of his quotes because this is where he rolls in. So I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. He had an iceberg analogy, which I thought was really interesting. And we all know the iceberg analogy. Yeah. What you see on top of the ocean, but what's beneath. And then he related that with the subconscious. Like it's that unseen. And we've talked about dreams, and this is the part where that bridge that we want to gap the subconscious with the conscious.
Right.
And the more that you meditate, the more that, not that you need to do these things in and of themselves to see an outcome. You're just organically doing this to be who you really are.
That is correct.
You're removing that filter, standing in the shade.
It's like you get the GW bridge.
Right.
You know what that is, right? Mm-hmm. It's got mad tolls on it.
Most bridges have tolls on them nowadays, right? The government's really quick to tax you.
Do not get me started on tolls, please. do not get me started.
Do the people
shut the camera off?
Do the people own the highway, or does the government? That's all I want to know. Don't I have a right to travel? I think the federal government owns all the highways, right?
Yeah. So, this conscious to subconscious, there's a bridge that's there. It naturally has to work. Your heart's got to beat, all this other stuff. There has to be certain stimuli that happen. I'm just talking in the physical sense, that are recognized and perceived by the consciousness. You stab me right now. I'm going to have to feel the pain first, right? The subconscious things are going to happen, and then it comes up to the consciousness. That's something that we're very used to, is feeling pain, like if you just hit me or something like that. That creates a trigger. Now, what about the more fine things? What about the more sensitive aspects of self?
I think it creates, and we're going to get into this, and you're using this perfect word, and I'm interrupting on purpose. Trigger. I want to stay there.
Yes.
But I think you're exactly right. I think self-awareness is seeing all the triggers. Complete self-awareness, which would be enlightenment, is seeing all the triggers. Because whenever we have these suffering triggers, that's the next part of my note, bro. Look, and you just went right into it.
That's what I'm doing.
Suffering triggers. So you're reading my notes without reading them?
Yeah, you're
So your subconscious was suffering.
Your subconscious was suffering, right? And then that has to be recognized in the consciousness. I had a conversation the other day about certain mental states and how the subconscious is completely logical.
Yes.
Someone's like, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. Well, say, for instance, you do have some sort of illness, mental illness, like dis-ease. You're thinking improperly. Or like you begin to get depressed. And you keep saying, I'm not depressed. I'm healthy.
Yeah, affirmations, yeah.
You're affirming something that's a lie.
Yes.
Because the subconscious knows that's fundamentally untrue. So now
it biologically knows, because you're when you're depressed, you're fucking up your chemicals in your brain.
So this is my point. So now I'm dosing more chemicals of that imbalance on the subconscious. That's completely logical. But I'm making a statement saying I need to be positive all day long. I need to reach enlightenment. I got to do this. What you're doing is you're lying to yourself. You're actually not integrating with the depression itself.
You're putting a Band-Aid on an axe wound.
Precisely correct, right? And then after you put the Band-Aid on, you're still like underneath the Band-Aid, like just jacking it full of bacteria. That's
MRSA.
Yeah, MRSA. You're like rubbing MRSA in the wound. And because of this, that bridge, the subconscious is always just trying to send logical stuff, right? But then you're on the other side of the bridge coming from the other toll. And the toll, by the way, is your false perspective on reality. You're trying to get through this toll, and you're trying to drive right in the opposite direction, like headed right towards this thing, like a head-on collision with your false lies. Subconscious telling you one thing, you got lies going the other way. So the bridge feeds into New York and feeds out of New York.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
Smart people leave New York. Dumb people go in there. Okay? And the dumb ones are paying a toll to get in there, too.
Right. And high taxes.
Yeah, and high taxes, right? So the stupidity flies in, logic's trying to come out. That balance isn't working. But there's so many people packing into this, essentially this limited space that's trying to be logical and say, I only have this much space. And it's trying to send shit out, but you keep putting bad stuff in.
So these suffering triggers, where we get them from, is the minute you pop out of a womb, you're dealing with parents who are humans.
And they teach you what suffering is.
Yes. Yeah. People don't realize this.
I wouldn't know what it is.
The first decade or two, you're just constantly learning.
Yeah. And how many helicopter parents are like, don't do that. You're like, chill. Let the thing learn. You have an idea of suffering. You're impressing it upon that child. The child looks at this as learning. That's the thing. Enlightenment, right? Truth is learning. That's what it is. But when someone comes around with this idea, like your parents, right, and they give you programming to say that this only brings pain, this only does this does that, you limit your evolution. Your
religion, we're this, we're Catholic, we're Christian, we're Muslim.
It strips you out of this objective state of learning, this Ayn Rand-looking baby, right? You don't do that anymore. You come over here to the Karl Marx baby.
Yes.
And it's like your parents are the government. They'll manage everything for you, give you what you need exactly when you need it. You don't need to do any learning. You just got to walk around,
you have
eat
to do
food, shit. The government wipes your ass.
You have to follow the
back.
program.
That's what I'm saying. You're following the program. It's a very regimented thing. But when the learning stops, okay, these people create these subconscious triggers within their own programming that they've had before. So it's difficult for you to even realize that because you're a child.
Well, also you have these evolutionary fears, I believe, that are passed down from. So like you'll see, well, my grandma was that way, my mom was that way, and I'm that way. So, but really, when you think about it, on an evolutionary standpoint, I've been reading a lot of evolutionary psychology. All these triggers are fear-based. Majority of them are.
Everything's fear-based. And what does fear tell you? Fear tells you you're not living in the truth.
Yes.
That's what it is. You're not living the truth. You don't understand what's going on. Actually, it may not even be fear-based. I think it's anxiety. There's a defined difference between anxiety and fear.
Right.
Fear says I have the facts, and there is something that's absolutely going to happen that's going to harm me. That's fear, right? Anxiety is I don't have the facts, but I'm assuming something's going to happen, so I need to live in this state of fear. Oh, it happened to grandma, it's going to happen to me. How do you know that?
So it's like worry, anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Always constantly worrying that something bad could happen if I don't do, or if I do.
Yeah.
And so that now you're ... So now you're being reactive.
Yeah, reactive to these reinforced
Right.
negative subconscious triggers that you've attached yourself to that you think have been passed down, but it's a function of your programming removing you from your own enlightenment, from actually living in truth.
Yeah, it's superficial behaviors. For me, I always look at it as that's not you, Jason. That's not the real you. So whenever I feel depressed or whenever I'm super angry, I have this extreme emotion. I always look at it and laugh and say, you fuckface.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself because
yeah.
I like to joke like that to myself. It's fun. It's not demeaning. It's fun for me. So I'm like, you fuckface. Look at you, you idiot. You think that's you.
Yeah.
You're believing that right now. It's just some chemical that's done from your past programming.
No, I know. Or like,
and then you laugh at it like you're laughing at me now. But then I do the same thing. I laugh at it and say, that's so stupid.
It is stupid.
And then you feel this great liberty.
Yeah, I'll
freedom.
I'll give you an example. I used to drive around in the car. People cut me off. I'd be like, "Oh, motherfucker, son of a bitch!" Right? I'm like, "I'm gonna shoot his tires out," or something like that. Right? Yeah. You get triggered.
Right.
And then, and you're like, you hit the horn, and I'm from like Boston. So I'm like, I'm up in this programming.
Right.
And
Everybody does that.
And then I realized I'm like, that's really stupid. Now when people cut me off, I don't even use the horn. You want to know why? Because they weren't paying attention in the first place. And then I laugh at myself. I got Amanda on the side scene. She's like, why aren't you using the horn? I'm like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, what's the point?
No, but I mean, that whole area though is that. I mean, let's just take that analogy.
Go ahead, lump me up in the bucket.
I mean, what happens whenever everybody goes to the bars and drinking a lot of alcohol? How many fights are you gonna have?
I asked myself this.
It's just.
No.
But that's known for that.
Don't glass over this.
Yeah.
This is important what you just said. Why is it? Have you ever found that some of your friends are happy drunks and some are angry drunks?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. These triggers that you speak about, these living out of truth, actually stepping away from your own enlightenment. Okay, living in that truth. When people drink, it hinders the conscious state completely. So say someone is reinforcing negative thoughts about themselves or hate towards others all day long. And the only thing keeping it in check from them actually doing bad things is having that consciousness intact, working normally. Then they go out and drink a lot. I'm going to subdue the conscious, and now all these negatively reinforced thoughts in the subconscious are the only thing coming to the forefront.
Yep.
Why do you think they want to be angry? Why do you think they want to create harm and hurt others?
I used to do that when I would get drunk, and then that was always the time I would argue with in the relationship because all that shit would come out, whether it's anger or jealousy.
Because you were not integrating with the truth, your own enlightenment.
Right.
You were blocking it in the consciousness.
Yeah, it even got to the point where we would joke, like, "Oh shit, we drank too much. We're gonna get in a fight tonight."
See,
it was that because one of us got into the habit of it. So one of us would trigger each other.
Yeah,
we'd have lots of fun, and then when we got home, then it was
if
gloves on.
If we don't focus on the dis-ease of the relationship, we cannot understand what logically is going on in the subconscious. We prevent truth from happening. The subconscious just wants to give you truth all day long.
Right.
But you're lying to it, lying to yourself, preventing your state of enlightenment. And then from that, these things happen.
But what we don't realize, like when we eat bad food and we have salt, sugar, and all these things and then we look at marketing that is geared towards our fears. We watch news that's geared towards our fears. The ego, if we want to use that, the ego is not bad, by the way. We've done some stuff on the ego before, so you guys have to listen to that. But it's this self-preservation. So it's more than happy to give you all you want.
Yeah.
And there's enough in the world to feed all of your triggers.
You want to know why?
It can feed it.
It's giving you as learning catalyst.
So it's like, oh, you want to watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, and you want to sit here and feel super negative and go on QAnon or go on fucking woke community.
on
You want all this crazy shit?
Yeah.
I'll feed you as much as you want.
Yeah.
You want to go on the Facebook?
Yes.
The algorithm? You like that? You like that? You like that?
Sure.
Fear-based, fear-based, fear-based. I'll feed you more of that.
Why don't you come to church? I'll paint some images of what
Yes.
fear looks like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the devil. I'll tell you what happens to people that don't do good. I'll keep you praying all day long.
Oh, yes. Here we
Let's
go.
reinforce these things.
Don't in the Muslim religion, don't you have to pray 5 times a day or something? Go to Mecca. You have to.
I need to point in a certain direction towards a certain block, say certain words, and I have to do it regardless of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that have chronic conditions,
Like what?
Skin
issues?
Skin issues are not just physical, mental too. Like you're talking about mental health, and it's the highest it's ever been, by the way, in the world right now.
Yep.
COVID like shot that way up through the roof. They're saying mental health is number one issue right now when it comes to, suicides through the roof, all that. So whenever we have these chronic conditions, to me, it's like if there's this, and you mentioned it too, this dis-ease, separate the words, dis-ease.
Dis-ease.
That's in me, whether it's chronic stomach aches or chronic headaches or, this is just biologically your body telling you that there's dis-ease.
Yeah.
That there's a problem. I mean, if you get, they've already proven science from the 80s. The 1980 study showed that worry causes cancer.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that study was done in the 80s and they proved it.
What's taking so long?
Yeah.
These triggers are here. The reason these triggers exist is because they are catalysts for truth. Your mind emits, let's think about this. If I emit false ideas all day long, creational natural laws require balance. They require cause and effect. They require that polarity. So if I'm emitting negative, I'm going to get back things that will harm me. Because those are positively catalyzed events or thoughts that are trying to bring me back to the truth.
Yes.
Think about it. Consider this example. If I'm thinking negatively and I want to do self-harm because I'm depressed, if I cut myself or burn my skin or do something like that, it hurts me. The subconscious is telling you that is not good for you. But your conscious programming is not listening to the truth. And again, you emit more negative thoughts because you think it is actually releasing the pain that you are receiving. You're not. You're doubling down on the pain. You're creating more harm. This is not a release. It's a lack of integration. You're actually marking every time in the physical your states of depression because you're not actually dealing with it. You're again putting the Band-Aid on top of it.
But what people don't realize, and this is the beautiful part, and this is the positive part, and this is the greatest thing. Whenever I realized this, it liberated me to the fullest, is your triggers are your enlightenment.
This is what I'm trying. All right, thank you for making it simple. That's the point, bro. If I do something negative, right, and it creates a negative trigger, that negative event is a truthful event. It is guaranteed to happen.
What did the trigger do? The trigger gave you free will.
Of course,
to make a choice.
Yes.
Now you can give in to your conscious mind and allow your conscious mind to control you.
Yes.
I think we're the biggest catalyst to. We allow this other brain, this other us, to control us and go against our free will.
Right.
It's not other people controlling us.
Never it is.
It's us.
All the time.
That where our subconscious is logical. You also have soul. I mean, we have creation streaming.
Yeah.
Like like your satellite. If you get it off just a little bit, what happens?
If my angle's off, I'm not getting all the data, right?
Yeah, you may get a little bit, but it's not. But when you have it perfect, it's
signal
like,
drop.
Yeah. So, it's the same.
Everything you do. All right. Call it the boomerang effect, whatever you want. Everything you do affords you learning.
Mm-hmm.
Every action or thought you take in your consciousness will give you the exact opposite polarity as more learning material. Okay? I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. Let's do the opposite state. Say I have no state of disease. Say I'm very positive. Say I'm helping, and be like, why is all this bad shit
You're very
happening to me?
balanced. Yeah.
But people are like, why are these bad events happening to me? Right? I'm trying to be a good person. I'm doing all this good stuff. It's giving you more catalyst for growth.
Yes.
Understand, if you just do good and you think all the bad goes away, you stop learning.
Because it's not negative. Like whenever I tried to commit suicide and got divorced, that was the biggest catalyst for change in my life. So that was, I will say now, that was the most good that has ever happened to me. My perception at the time was that it was negative oriented, but it was actually positive oriented. So you can't say that that's negative or bad. Any situation that you're facing right now in your life comes from one thing. That's your thought process of it.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Rudolph.
It has.
You're just a little Rudolph Steiner today.
No,
aren't you?
Jung has this. He talks about this too, but when he talks about triggers. But profound change, and this is a big word, and I want you to look it up if you don't mind, because I like looking up definitions. Reflection. The word reflection. Profound change comes from reflection of truth. So when we reflect something, what is that?
When you think about reflection in the sense of physics, it's light.
That's where I was going here.
It's light. What the image you see in a reflection is literally a light particle hitting something and bouncing back. Mm-hmm. It's a recognition of truth. When I stand in front of the mirror, you need to observe objectively what is exactly in front of it. There is a human being,
yes,
packed with a creational energy inside of it, living, breathing, thinking directly in front of you. Everything else outside of that is your distortion, your confusion through your own free will, nothing else. So when you consider reflection at its purest sense, anything outside of reflection is untruth. You bend the light. You distort your image. You do all these things to make you not look like what you are or think who you truly are. You inhibit that. And so when you ask what the definition of reflection is, it's the act of reflecting or the state of being reflected. Something such as light, radiant heat, sound, or an image that is reflected.
Notice that that's pure physics. Like when you look at sound,
it's a natural law.
We look at light.
It's a natural law.
Yeah, exactly. So it will reflect. I mean, like I'm always amazed if you've gone to like an Asian garden.
Yep.
And the water's like perfectly still. And then it reflects, like they have like
mirror image,
and it just the reflection almost looks better than the it's like a Snapchat filter. It almost looks better than the actual looking at it. I like look at the reflection, and then you see the backdrop with all the flowers and the bamboo and all that. But that reflection is just as beautiful as the reality. Do you see what I'm saying? As the flowers on the shoreline.
But it's just as true.
So creation may be somewhere we think, it's in us, but we can reflect that absolute truth, because that's what creation is, absolute truth. Yeah. We can reflect that. Not only to ourselves, but to others.
Not from the outside in, but from the inside out.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when people say you walk around and you're projecting, what do projectors do? Projectors send something out. They're sending out. And then there's an image that's received from sending that out.
Right.
They get the reflection. When you project, truth is given back. When you do negative, positive is given back to you. When you do positive, negative is given back to you. It's all learning material. Your enlightenment is a reflection of that truth. It is inherently in you with all the time. But you block it, distort it with your free will that you are given to move away from the enlightenment itself. Everything you do is attract away from that enlightenment. But once you realize everything is learning and you live within the truth of learning, you are then enlightened. That's when you become wise. That's when you become an Isfich. You become a king of wisdom. You become a god on earth at that point.
So if triggers are our enlightenment, and we'll close in this. So if triggers are our enlightenment.
Smith & Wesson is the most enlightened company around.
Yes, exactly. Didn't Colt have they used to have a cool saying. I forgot. I'll think of it.
I do.
You know what I mean? Like if you're the guy with the gun, then you're the man. Type thing.
Yeah, I think I remember that. And there's another one with like the world and like wars and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if triggers are your enlightenment, and we'll have to do this in the second episode. We'll talk about this more because I want to get really micro and practical on this. So if triggers are enlightenment, then we have a choice to make when we're triggered. So I think what we're going to do on the next episode is get into what a trigger is a little bit more. Get into how to recognize a trigger immediately, And then number 3, how to diffuse the trigger.
What's happened?